Hey guys, welcome back. I'm actually really excited today because I'm going to share with you guys an integrated amplifier that I consider the best buy of 2022 of all integrated amplifiers if you like tubes. Now, I love tubes. It's been a while since I had a full-time tube integrated amp in my system. The last time was actually the Willsenton R8, which many of you bought. You guys loved the video I made for it, so I thank you so much for those views and likes. But a lot of you wrote me emails talking about your love for the Willsenton R8. And I agree. I still have mine. It's actually in a box in my guest house. I haven't had it hooked up because I get so many amps through here to review. It's like a carousel coming in and out, in and out, in and out. But I do have my favorites. And today I want to talk about this amp right here that's behind me. This is also by Willsenton. It's the R300. And I'm going to tell you why it's the best buy for me on Amazon Prime of all amplifiers available on Amazon. Heck, it's the best buy of all amps of this year for me. If you have easy to drive speakers, meaning 90 decibels, 90 dB efficient or greater, right? Klipsch Heritage, right? Almost any Klipsch speaker, the Fleetwood DeVille's, any speaker that's not a tough, hard drive and you have a small to medium-sized room, you're going to want to hear about this amplifier because it's actually astonishing for the price. Now, this amp I bought blind on Amazon Prime because I missed that 300B sound. I'm not going to tell any long stories here, but many years ago, I'd say 23 years ago, I bought a 300B tube integrated called the Duet from Wavelength Audio back in the day. Gordon Rankin designed and built that amp, and it was beautiful in the mids. I ran it with some avant-garde Unos, and that mid-range was romantic. It was seductive. It made you want to lean back into your chair with a glass of scotch, even though I don't drink scotch, but it just had that vibe about it, right? A smoky, dimly lit jazz club. I always remembered that sound. And over the years, as I heard different tube amps that were not 300B, and before I go any further, this is a single-ended Triode amp, a set amp. You may have heard a lot about those. Set amps have a unique sound signature, a human glow, a touch about them that reaches the innermost parts of your brain and tells you, this is music, my friend. And this amp back here does exactly that. It conveys that music in a way that is romantic. It's plump. The upper mid bass is there and it fills out that mid-band section. And at the same time, the lower bass is big. It's not the tightest, right? But it has presence and life to it, like it's breathing out of the speakers. The high end is a little rolled off, but still, that makes the songs, the music you play through it, no matter what. And believe me, on my Fleetwood DeVille's, on the Klipsch Heritage, this thing can rock and roll as well. But before I get into all that, I want to talk about why this amp is so special. This is an integrated amp, so you could plug in your CD player, your streamer, auxiliary, whatever you like to it, right? It only puts out 8 watts per channel. But remember, set amps always sound more powerful than they really are. This isn't going to drive some big, humongous, hard-to-drive speaker in a large room, but you better believe it will drive a sensitive speaker in a small to medium room to volumes that you will not be able to handle if you turn it up. All right, so here's a closer look at the Willsenton R300. This is an absolutely beautiful amp. You can see that piano blue finish there. Now, other brands used to do this, or they might still do it, this automotive paint, right? But usually it came at a price premium. This is included with the amp. You get this beautiful paint job. Here you have your volume here. It does come with an all-metal remote control, basics, volume up and down and mute. You don't have any input switching. But with an amp like this, you don't need it. A lot of these kind of amps don't even come with a remote. Here you have your inputs: CD, auxiliary 1, auxiliary 2, and preamp in. So you can actually use this as a power amp and connect a preamp to it. You have your 300B tubes. Now these are all basic tubes. You can upgrade the sound of this if you want to invest in some different tubes, new old stock tubes. For example, you can get some Gold Lion 300Bs. You can go for Western Electrics. They're making them again. They're $1,500 a pair. You have your 6SL7s, 6SN7s, and your rectifier tubes, your 5U4Gs. Now, this amp is on right now. And listen, there's no hum. There's no noise coming from it whatsoever. And there's no noise coming from the speakers. And yes, they are hooked up. I'm using some Nordust Blue Heaven right now. It doesn't run super hot. This gets a little warm, the transformer, but this is a Class A single-ended Triode amp. These are among the most magical sounding amps that you can buy if you like that presentation. Big bass, big woolly bass, right? Full in the room, layered three-dimensional sound, a big, beautiful, warm mid-range, and a top end that is there, but it's a little rolled off, so you're not getting that ear-bleeding treble. Now, occasionally you'll want to check the bias on this amp. Here's your bias adjuster. You basically flick that up, right? And as you hold that up, you turn this screw. Let me check the bias right now. So right now, the bias on my left side tubes is perfect because that line's in the middle. If it's not, you want to turn that screw until that line gets to the middle. I'll check my other side, and that is perfect as well. And this has not drifted out of bias in 2.5 weeks, but you can kind of see the top paint job reflecting off of my shade there and the trees. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And you know, I've had amps like this in here that have come in and have buzzed and hummed and been unruly. I would send them back and not review them. But this sounds beautiful, it looks beautiful, and it's $1,500 on Amazon Prime, meaning if there is a problem with yours out of the gate or whatever, you can send it back for a refund. Now, when I ordered this, I totally expected to get it. I expected the transformers to buzz or hum, even a little bit. I expected a little noise from the speakers. I expected it to sound muffled and dull, but it came in, and the first thing that surprised me was the way it was packaged. Now, Willsenton does a great job at packaging. It was wrapped up nice. No way it's going to get damaged. It even had a cage over the tubes. Yes, it comes with a fully painted tube cage as well. I'll never use the cage, but if you have cats or kids and you want to keep them from touching the hot tubes, you just put that cage on and you are good to go. It comes with this already in the box. So the packaging was top notch. With the Fleetwood DeVilles, which I think are 90 something, 91, 92, I don't remember their efficiency, but they are easy to drive speakers. I hear no hiss through that. I hear no hum. Now, the good thing is, though, if you do hear a little bit of hum with the Willsenton R300, there are hum pots on the amp. You simply turn the screw with the screwdriver that they include until the hum goes away. So if the amp ever does start humming, and I've had that before with a Line Magnetic 219IA, over time there was a little hum, but they also had the hum pots, and you can actually take away that hum by turning the screw. It's a brilliant feature to have on an amp like this. Easy to bias, looks beautiful. built hand wired point to point. The build quality is fantastic, right? You have all the inputs you need. And even though it's only 8 watts per channel, you would be very surprised to hear the grunt and the body and the energy that this puts out. No, it's not one of these uber detailed amps. You're not going to hear those big details glaring out of the speakers, but what you will hear is a 3-dimensional layered soundstage, and it does soundstage very wide, and it images very naturally and softly. It's not a surgical imaging, but that's what makes it sound so beautiful. Now, I've played everything from jazz, classical, rock, metal, folk, live performances through this amp, and it handled it all with ease. There's also a speaker on Amazon Prime that really made amazing with this amp. Now, they are small, they are bookshelf, they are single driver, but they do phenomenal with a 300B amp such as this. I purchased a set the same day I purchased this amp, and I gotta tell you, they sound beautiful as well. Now, they're not as big as my DeVilles or the Klipsch La Scalas, of course, but they put out a nice, beautiful, human touch kind of sound, right? The heart right here, it goes right to the heart. So if you take those speakers and you add it to this amp and you add a Bluesound node, you have an amazing, oh, and those $39 speaker cables I'm always recommending, which are also fantastic. You can have a system for around $3,000, a single-ended triode system, a set amp that's quiet and beautiful sounding with beautiful sounding speakers. For under $3,000, you can have this sound that touches your heart and soul. If you have a bedroom or office, a smaller room, this little $3,000 system can really blow your mind. I will put links in the description below to the speakers, to the amp, to those $39 speaker cables that are absolutely phenomenal. And check it out for yourself. This is all available on Amazon Prime, which means you get 30 days to try it out. If you do get the amp and it has an issue, send it back for a refund. And let me point out that Willsenton has service centers in the United States. I think the closest one to me is in Wisconsin. You can send your amp off if it ever needs repair, and it will be repaired in the United States. And to those who say, I'll never buy a Chinese amp, well, you're watching this video on a product that was made in China. If you leave a comment, you're typing that comment on a product that was made in China, right? If you want to save money, but have a phenomenal audio system that speaks to your heart and soul, this is one of them right here. I would rather pay $3,000 for a system like this than pay $20,000 because it was made elsewhere. So that's up to you to decide. I don't have any qualms about this product here because it was made in China. In fact, I see it as a big savings to those music lovers who want a system and really don't want to jump into that deep end of the hi-fi pool. So I hope you enjoyed my look at the Willsenton R300. It gets my highest recommendation, just as the Willsenton R8 does. If you want a little more power, the Willsenton R8 will give you that power. It's not as romantic or sweet sounding as the R300. It's a little more energetic, but it also has that tube beauty. And it's also a phenomenal amp for around the same price. Speaking of beauty, this Willsenton got me so excited about 300B. I found this Inspire 300B amp from Dennis Had. Now, Dennis is the founder of Carry Audio. He retired years ago, and he started building these little amps out of his house, and they are phenomenal. This is going to cost you more, though. And compared to the Willsenton, the Inspire is more transparent,
and more holographic, a little bigger sounding. But look, it ships with Western Electric 300Bs, and they are pretty much the gold standard as far as I'm concerned in the world of 300B tubes. This is a small amp, it's not heavy, but it sounds absolutely gorgeous. It has that same 300B character, but even more of it. And I did try these Western Electrics in the Willsenton, and it made the Willsenton more transparent by, I'd say, 10%, but it kept that big bass. Now, the Inspire doesn't have the huge bass of the Willsenton, but it's a more even-handed sound. I'll be reviewing this very soon.
I thank you all, I love you all, and I will see you guys next time. I'm gonna sit here and listen to this for a couple hours here and enjoy that 300B goodness. I'll see you guys next time.